our Business Ethics and Social Responsibility with the Understanding Ethics Note Guide. So ethics are the basic principles that govern our behavior. Each person is going to have a different personal code of ethics that try to guide them to make the right decisions even in difficult situations. So they're going to be the one, it's your personal code of ethics is kind of going to be helping you determine what's right and what's wrong. And then we also have what are called ethical principles. So your ethical beliefs, and these don't usually change throughout your life. So for example, if you value respect, so honoring the rights of others, the freedoms, the views, the property of other people, that's not likely something that's going to change throughout your life. If you value that when you're young, you're probably still going to value that when you are an adult and as you grow and age. And so this goes into the business world as well. So just like we have regular ethics, we also have a business code of ethics. So that's going to be the basic principles that govern a business's actions and their choices. A business's code of ethics, so a specific business may set their own code of ethics that maybe don't branch out into the industry, but they're going to determine what actions are acceptable and unacceptable for this specific organization. So businesses, while they do have a code of ethics and they do have some ethical principles, businesses do not always act ethically. And there are 5 main reasons that this happens. So first off, actions may not be illegal. So a company may lay off 100 employees in state A because they want to move to a new state that has lower labor costs. This is not illegal. Companies do that all the time. They can do that. They can choose when to shut down a location. But is it really ethical to lay off 100 employees just so that they can save some money? Is that something that is perceived as ethical by the general population? The next is that these actions may be acceptable in an industry, but not acceptable overall. So I know that none of you have really any experience maybe purchasing a timeshare, but a timeshare would just be a rental property in a vacation destination. I may be able to purchase part of a timeshare in Florida so that I have access to it maybe 5 times throughout the year or 10 times throughout the year. And when you go to these presentations where they are trying to sell you a timeshare, they're very demanding, they're very pushy, and some people would even describe them as aggressive in order to get you to purchase into a timeshare agreement. This is something that is common practice in this industry, and so people kind of come to expect it. But think of if you were on a college visit and the recruiter did the exact same thing. They were really pushy. They really tried to convince you to sign a contract today. That would be absolutely unacceptable when we think about going to a college or to a university. That would be really unethical. So if it's unethical in one industry, is it really unethical in all, or does it change by industry? The third way is that actions are acceptable in a different country, especially in the more recent, last 20, 30 years. Companies have been outsourcing a lot. So if a company opens a factory in a foreign country, they can pay their employees less. They don't have to follow the strict American labor laws. They have more freedom with how they treat their employees because there are not those set laws in that different country. Yes, it's an American company, but if they are working outside of America, then American laws don't apply. There are cases, all of these are not mutually exclusive, so pretty much the only reason that someone would act unethically is if it's going to benefit the company. And the same goes for actions that are unethical are usually committed by unethical employees. So if you have a strong code of ethics, if you have strong morals, you're not likely to act unethically in the workplace or probably just in general in your life. So these are oftentimes overlapping, and we'll see an example of this in a minute, but for just looking at that top example, so maybe the action's not illegal, it benefits the company, and it is committed by an unethical employee. It may be 2 or 3 of these items. It is possible that it could be even all 5. Sorry, jumped ahead a little bit. So like I said, this example, in 2006, Walmart got caught dumping hazardous waste into sewer systems, and they got caught reselling contaminated pesticides. And this happened both in California and here in Kansas City. And these actions were benefiting the company, and they were committed by unethical employees. So that's just an example of two unethical behaviors that are examples that we did not consider earlier, and that is how that they are committed, those two points down here. There are consequences of unethical behavior, and I lumped these together in kind of ways that will bounce off each other a little bit. So if you are caught acting unethically, or a business is caught acting unethically, it's probably going to give them a negative image. So they may have a bad reputation that could run a company out of business. Even if it doesn't run them out of business, they may lose customers. A lot of customers really value companies who are ethical and who practice social responsibility. So they may switch to another brand or another business, and that could hurt that company's sustainability or their success. And then because of that, their competition has benefited. Some other consequences are that you are at risk of being sued, having some lawsuits, or even going to jail. Both of these lead to financial risks. In addition to those, you may have to pay fines, you may have loss of productivity, especially because of that employee turnover. You may have a lot of employees quit because they found out you were acting unethically. You may go bankrupt, your stock prices may decrease. There are a lot of financial risks that come along with acting unethically. And then there are other internal problems. So the main two ways is that other employees may see that one of their bosses may have acted unethically. They didn't really get in trouble, so now they're going to start doing things unethically. Or you may have employees who really value an ethical workplace, and so they're going to quit, or they're not going to put in their best effort while they're at work, so productivity may drop. And ethics have a lot of gray area, and that is because actions can be legal but not ethical, or they can be ethical but not legal. One big ethical dilemma that people kind of go to as an example is, would you steal bread to feed your family? It is illegal to steal, but it's also seen as unethical to let your family starve. So where does that line and where does that gray area end, where I'm breaking the law, but I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do, or I'm not breaking the law and I'm really not doing what I should do for the benefit of others? And this gray area exists because ethics are those unwritten rules that people follow, but laws are written and clear. They're very clear and concise. And then we have what's called social responsibility. And this is the business's contribution to society's well-being. This is broken down into 4 pillars, and most of these are done just by a company functioning. So a business has an economic responsibility. So they are responsible for making money and contributing to national and local economies. So they are responsible for earning money and then putting that money back into their local and into the national economy. They have a legal responsibility, so they are responsible for operating within the laws. They're responsible for paying their federal taxes, their state taxes, for following those local laws. They have those legal responsibilities. They have an ethical responsibility, so conducting itself with integrity, respecting the rights of others, and playing fair in the industry, not really cheating their customers, their suppliers, or their competition out of things. And then they have a philanthropic responsibility, and that is where most companies really focus their social responsibility, because it is oftentimes the most visible. So philanthropic responsibility is contributing to society in a charitable way. So thinking about some examples, a lot of companies may donate to harvesters. They may donate to a food pantry. Toms, they donate shoes to those who are potentially underprivileged or just don't have access to it. So every time a pair of shoes is sold, they donate a pair of shoes to a child in need. That is philanthropic responsibility. There's four main groups of people that a company is responsible to. So investors, a business is responsible for using their investors' money wisely and providing returns. Investors only give companies their money because they think they are going to be successful and they want to make money in return. So a business is responsible for upholding their end of the deal and being successful. They are responsible to their employees, providing jobs that are clean, that are safe, jobs where the employees are not being discriminated against, harassed. They have a responsibility to customers, meeting customers' needs and wants with high quality goods and services at fair prices. They're not price gouging. And then they're also responsible for community members, and this includes those community members who don't even use their services or buy their products. They're responsible for paying taxes to support the local schools, the local hospitals, and then doing their part to conserve the environment. So not knowingly polluting, not going out of their way to dump hazardous waste or pollute extra. And then lastly, we just want to sum up by making that connection. So we start off with society. Society is going to be what shapes our ethics. They make social responsibility a top priority because that is what consumers want to see. Ethics are those standards or moral conducts that individuals set for themselves, helping you define right and wrong. And then social responsibility is the duty of a business to contribute to the well-being of society.